What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy MrBaboon back with a reaction video. We are reacting to historical facts that mess with your sense of time. I almost messed that up again. That would have been like the first time redoing the intro, but I got it. So with that being said, make sure you guys do check out the description. It will have the video and the channel link down below if you guys want to check out for you guys self. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, all that good stuff. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I need to add? I do not think so. So I think we're just gonna get into it. So let's go ahead and get these on. Let's go ahead and like. And then we get into it.
When we try to put historical events into perspective, we often simplistically divide things into old days and modern times because our brains can often struggle with the perception of time. I compiled a series of interesting facts on historical events that surprisingly took place at more or less the same time,
Really?
turning them into real and pretty fascinating coincidences, and will make you think twice about how you perceive the past. Number 1. The same tortoise belonged to both Charles Darwin and Steve Irwin. Harriet the tortoise was reportedly collected by Charles Darwin during his 1835 visit to the Galapagos Islands as part of his round-the-world survey expedition, then transported to England and then brought to her final home, Australia, by a retiring captain of the Beagle, the ship Darwin used for his expedition. And as we all know, tortoises can live quite a long time, and by a hilarious turn of events, Harriet turned up in Steve Irwin's zoo. That's right, the pet tortoise of Charles Darwin was adopted by the legendary crocodile hunter.
That is so cool. I did
However,
not know that.
Some doubt was cast on this story by the fact that Darwin had never visited the island that Harriet originally came from. Anyhow, she had an estimated age of 175 by the time she finally died at Steve Irwin's zoo. Number 2.
Damn.
Today's oldest living tree was already 1,000 years old when the last woolly mammoth died. The world's oldest tree is a Great Basin bristlecone pine located in White Mountains, California, and is dated at around 5,000 years old. To put that into perspective, isolated populations of woolly mammoths on Wrangel Island didn't finally go extinct until 4,000 years ago, with the small island in the Arctic Ocean serving as a sanctuary for the great beasts after they were forced from the mainland by humans and climate change. Number 3. Woolly mammoths were still alive while Egyptians were building the pyramids. I think this fact is more popular nowadays, but I still want to include it, since it's a true classic. Scientists have determined that woolly mammoths were still roaming the earth until about 1650 BC. Meanwhile, the oldest of the Great Pyramids in Egypt, the Pyramid of Djoser, was constructed between 2630 BC and 2611 BC, meaning that while man was busy building some of the most incredible structures ever made, woolly mammoths were still doing their thing. Number 4, Mahatma Gandhi and Jack the Ripper. Gandhi is so bound up with the titanic events of the 20th century that it might be peculiar to imagine him as a dapper gentleman of Victorian society, but that's exactly what he became while studying law in London.
What you might not expect about the film is that you're gonna jump a little bit.
It will shock you. No one will.
London, arriving in September 1888, right in the midst of the Jack the Ripper killings. Gandhi obviously had nothing to do with the Jack the Ripper killings, but it's funny to think about the fact that Gandhi could have become a suspect in the most famous murder case. Number 5. Nintendo was founded when Jack the Ripper was still on the loose.
Yeah, I read that.
Even though Jack the Ripper and Nintendo were around during the same time, he never got the chance to play classics like Zelda and Mario. They originally made playing cards called Hanafuda, and the company was founded way back in 1889, when the infamous Jack the Ripper was creating havoc on the streets of London. His murder spree happened only about a year before Nintendo came into existence. Number 6. Star Wars came out, the same year as the last guillotine execution in France. When thinking about guillotine executions, our minds wander to historic figures like Napoleon, but this form of execution isn't that old. Star Wars premiered in the United States on May 25, 1977. At the same time, this futuristic sci-fi was wowing audiences around the world. The medieval practice of death by guillotine was still taking place in France, where Hamida pimp killer Jandoubi was beheaded for the torture and murder of a young woman. This was the last use of the guillotine in France. Nobody else has been executed using any means since. So technically, it is possible that people were talking about the upcoming Star Wars movie while watching the last guillotine execution.
Yeah, it's
Number
possible.
7. You could take the London Underground to the last public hanging in the UK.
Shit.
We continue on with the topic of public executions, but we travel to Britain. Hanging used to be a common punishment in the UK and wasn't abolished until 1868. Michael Barrett was the last to be executed in this manner in Newgate Prison, London, in front of a large crowd of people. 5 years earlier, in 1863, the first journey of the London Underground took place. With a station in operation close by the Newgate prison, it is entirely feasible that many Londoners would take the tube to go and watch somebody get hanged. What a very convenient situation. Number 8. Prisoners arrived at Auschwitz just days after McDonald's was founded. While McDonald's is traditionally associated with the good times and affluence of 1950s America, the very first restaurant was opened much earlier, on May 15th, 1940. At the same time, one of the most gruesome events in human history began in Europe. Just 5 days after McDonald's grand opening, the first prisoners arrived at the Auschwitz concentration camp in what is now Poland. Number 9. The fax machine was invented the same year the first wagon crossed the Oregon Trail. We all know the story of the Oregon Trail, since it's an important part of American history. However, what many don't know is that at the same time the first wagon traversed this trail, an important technological milestone was achieved. The original fax machine, the electric printing telegraph, was patented in 1843 by Scottish inventor Alexander Bain, the same year that about 1,000 people set off west for Oregon, forming a huge wagon train. Number 10. Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire was founded. The Aztec Empire began as an alliance of 3 Nahuatl city-states. These 3 city-states ruled the area in and around the Valley of Mexico from 1428 until the combined forces of the Spanish conquistadors and their native allies under Hernán Cortés defeated them in 1521. Aztec culture had rich and complex mythological and religious traditions, as well as achieving remarkable architectural and artistic accomplishments. Meanwhile, in England, Oxford University was already well established. It has no known date of foundation, but there is evidence of teaching as far back as 1096, making it the oldest university in the English-speaking world and the world's second oldest university in continuous operation. It grew rapidly from 1167 when Henry II banned English students from attending the University of Paris. Number 11. Harvard University didn't offer calculus classes for the first few years after the school was established. Modern calculus was developed in 17th century Europe by Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who independently of each other first published their findings around the same time. But elements of it appeared in ancient Greece, then in China and the Middle East, and still later again in medieval Europe and in India. Harvard was established in 1636 and is the United States' oldest institution of higher learning, and its history, influence, and wealth have made it one of the world's most prestigious universities. Calculus was off the curriculum for the first few years for obvious reasons. It hadn't been recognized yet. I find it astonishing that the oldest university in the United States is even older than such an important scientific breakthrough. Number 12. Ecstasy was invented the same year the Titanic sank. The unsinkable Titanic sank in 1912, going down in the North Atlantic Ocean 4 days into the ship's maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City.
Did any of you guys know this?
The body.
Did any of you guys know this? Let me know down below in the comments if you guys knew. If you guys knew about this. You know what I mean? Let me know if you guys knew about this. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of this stuff that I didn't even know. So that's pretty cool. Give another ad. But I mean, like, that's just really cool to me. Like, a lot of this stuff right here is cool.
Same year, pharmaceutical giant Merck was interested in developing substances that stopped abnormal bleeding, and one of its chemists, Anton Kolisch, synthesized MDMA to avoid a patent by German rival Bayer. The drug was of no particular interest to Merck at the time, and they only came back to research the substance sporadically over the next few years. It wasn't until 1975 that psychoactive effects of the drug began to be taken seriously, and recreational use spread thereafter through personal networks of psychotherapists, psychiatrists, users of psychedelics, and yuppies. So yes, everyone who died on the Titanic never got the chance to taste this drug. Number 13. Microsoft was founded while Spain was still a fascist dictatorship. A highly controversial figure within Spain, Franco is seen as a divisive leader. Supporters credit his strong anti-communist and nationalist views, economic policies, preservation of traditional Spanish practices, and support of the monarchy of Spain as positive influences over the nation.
Dang.
Critics disparage him as an autocratic dictator who violently suppressed opposition and dissent, banned culture seen as non-Spanish, used concentration camps and forced labor, and provided much support to the Axis powers during World War II. Franco ruled Spain as a fascist state up until his death in 1975, aged 82.
Dang.
This was the same year that Microsoft was founded by Paul Allen and Bill Gates, and the beginning of a new era in computer technology. Number 14. Artist Pablo Picasso died in 1973, the same year. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon was released.
Shit.
Pablo Picasso is regarded as one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Among his most famous works are the proto-cubist Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, 1907, and Guernica, 1937, a dramatic portrayal of the bombing of Guernica by the German and Italian air forces during the Spanish Civil War. Unlike some other great artists who died young, Picasso lived a long and full life until he passed away in 1973, which was, coincidentally, the same year that one of the most groundbreaking and progressive albums ever was released, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
That's crazy.
With
I
an
did not know
estimated
that.
45 million copies sold, it is Pink Floyd's most successful album and one of the best-selling worldwide. It has been
That's
remastered
crazy.
and re-released several times and covered in its entirety by several acts. It produced 2 singles, Money and Us and Them, and is often regarded as one of the greatest albums of all time. I would love to play you some pieces of this album, but that would most likely end with the takedown of this video. But
Yeah.
let's be real, if anyone here doesn't know Dark Side of the Moon, you are more in need of a lesson in culture than in history. And finally, number
That's a good
15. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was published in the summer of 2007, the same summer the first iPhone model was released. The 7th and last
Shit.
book in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, was released in 2007, ending the series that began in 1997 with the publication of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That same year, something came along that has probably done more to kill
Yeah.
children's interest in reading more than anything else,
You know-
the first iPhone.
I did not think about that, but yeah, no. I remember being in school and like the first iPhone coming out. I remember that. It was like 5th grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade, something like that. 4th grade? No, 5th grade. It was something like that, and I remember like there was a couple of kids that had one, and I was like, it was just pretty cool. But I mean, you didn't really see a lot of them until, you didn't really see a lot of the kids have them until like 6th grade. And it was just, I didn't have one. I didn't get my first iPhone until the iPhone 6 I had. And I didn't even buy the iPhone 6 the same year it came out. It was like, when I bought my first iPhone, the new iPhone that came out was like iPhone 8, iPhone 7, something like that. But that's just crazy to me.
Considering that the first iPhone seems like a vintage phone now, it's impressive how fast time goes by, and that's exactly why I included this fact on this list.
That's crazy.
That was almost 20 years ago, and at least to me this really feels like another era. But that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video.
That's
Thank you
crazy.
so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next.
That was a really good video, though. Let me know what you guys thought. If you guys knew all this stuff, and if you guys got any cool, interesting facts, let me know down below in the comments. If it didn't make the video that we reacted to, let me know down below in the comments if there's anything else you guys want to add to that. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I will see you guys in the next video. You guys stay safe. Watch out for each other. All that good stuff. Positivity is key. Motivation is key. Happiness is key. I will see you guys in the next one. You guys stay safe. Watch out for each other. See you guys in the next one.